Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I feel sad for the unfortunate side in this one. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to take in, but it's an exciting game. It's an exciting game. It has pretty much everything you want in a chess game in there. So you know, like I said before, those diehard chess fans, those chess enthusiasts that love tactical puzzles and combinations and everything, I got those at the end of the video for you. I got the answer to the previous one, and I have a brand new one for you. And so if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's take a look and see what we have here. Bam. All right, so we have e4, e5, knight to c3. A little variance from, you know, normal lines. I mean, usually you'll see a knight to f3, you know, forcing some type of, you know, defensive move, you know, d6 or, you know, knight to c6 or, you know, even, you know, the Russian defense would be like knight to f6, Petrov. So we got knight to f6. So we got d4, e takes d4, queen takes d4. We got knight to c6. And already black is doing very well. You know, you see, it's kind of like a reverse Scandinavian a little bit. And because, you know, you normally have like an e4, d5, pawn takes, and then queen takes, and you have knight to c3, kicking the queen. So you have a very similar situation here. So you're getting the tempo on this queen here. And so the big question is, you know, where do you put the queen? So Nepo decides to go ahead and put it to d3, which does unfortunately kind of block the bishop a little bit. So that's kind of something that's going to come into play a little bit later. So we have bishop to c5, we have bishop to f4. Now, as magical as it sounds, bishop to f4 is the novelty of the game. It's a brand new position. It's never been seen before. I know it's unbelievable. I know, because I'm like, whoa, you know, how in the world can that be a brand new position? It seems like this would have had to have been played at some point before, but no, it's never been played. Never been played. First time. So we have castles by black, long castles, queenside castling for white, and we have rook to e8. Now, for some of you guys that are looking at the position, it looks like, you know, bishop takes f2 as a move, and it actually is. But as black, it requires almost computer-like precision on a calculation. So if we just take a look at the variation, we see bishop takes f2. There was two moves. There's knight to d5, and this is actually the stronger one of the two. So e5, you see knight to h5, you see bishop back to d2, bishop takes g1, rook takes g1, and you see knight takes e5, and then you see queen to f5. You would see d6, queen takes h5, and you would see bishop to g4, knocking the queen and trying to win the exchange. So you see queen to g5, offering the queen trade. And you see bishop takes d1 and knight takes d1. So as you can see, black has two extra pawns, and they are up in exchange. So it's fairly even, even with the smaller material for black. So like I said, I mean, we went 7 moves deep in there. So you would have to really kind of be, you know, have computer-like calculation ability to have been able to kind of see this from, you know, this position here with bishop takes. And so, you know, Wesley, not saying he's not capable of such calculation, but he went ahead and just played the more logical human move of rook to e8. And so you have f3, you know, being able to use that tempo to get that pawn protected. And so we have d6, you know, just trying to get that last piece for black out. And so we see queen to d2. Like I was saying before, you know, queen to d3 did kind of block this bishop. So now you see that the queen has to back up a little bit, you know, to be able to create space for this f1 bishop to come out. And so we have bishop to e6, king to b1, which is almost always something that you want to play when you castle queenside, is king to b1, because a lot of times you'll have issues on the c file. Which isn't the case here, but, you know, a lot of like dragon situations, like, you know, I'll play the dragon Yugoslav myself as white in the Sicilian. You know, king to b1 is almost always the move that you want to make. And so we have a6. Now, as you guys know, or some of you guys might know, even some of you that don't know, whenever you have opposite side castling, generally what that means is that you're going to be attacking the different sides with pawns, you know. So you'll see like a6, you'll see b5, you know, a4 coming down, and you'd see like a g4, h4, g5, you know, h5 type of situation. So like I said, when you have opposite side castling, that basically means that you're going to be, you know, throwing your pawns out. to start to attack the person. So a6 is the most logical move to do that. So you have knight g to e2, and then you have b5, like I was saying. You have knight to c1, trying to see if we can't plop it down on the d3. And so you have knight to e5, bishop to g5, h6, and you have bishop back to e3, offering to trade of those bishops there. And of course, you know, you don't want to, it might actually be possible if you allow the trade of, you know, bishop takes c5, you know, you just get like a gigantic, pawn clump over there on the queen side. So it probably won't be that bad. But we have bishop takes e3, queen takes e3, and so we have b4. And so, like I said before, black is starting to expand on the queen side, and it's starting to try to knock white's pieces around. And so we see knight 3 to e2, and so we see a5. So as you can see in this position, even without like seeing a computer calculation, a computer evaluation on it, you can just clearly see that black is doing much better than white is. They have their pieces out. They have these lines starting to get open over here. If you look at white's pieces, they're really, so this rook is not doing anything in the corner. This bishop hasn't developed yet. And so it's a really, really cramped position for white. And so it's, you have a pretty clear advantage for black here. All right, so we have knight to f4, and we have a4, just continuing that attack, trying to, squeeze white as much as possible. And so we have h4. And so we have queen to e7. And so we have g4, a3, trying to create, some dark square weaknesses for white. Because, white doesn't have a dark square bishop. So they don't really have a way to defend the dark squares here. So, unfortunately, Nepo goes b3. And so that just basically solidifies these dark square weaknesses on the queen side here. And so, the queen might have a chance to penetrate. You can see maybe a knight possibly coming to c3 at some point. So it's not looking the best. And so if you want to go ahead and pause the video and see how Wesley So takes full and 100% advantage of the position for white, go ahead and pause it real quick, see if you can come up with it. All right, cool. So for a lot of you guys that play like a dragon, a Sicilian as black, the sacrifice should come to you, and this bishop takes g4. And so basically you are giving up a piece, but the trade-off is going to be once this pawn takes, you have knight taking, and then you have this. So basically what you're doing with bishop takes g4 is you're trying to undermine, the protection of all of these pawns. And so, like I said, you have f takes g4, knight e takes g4, and you have queen to d4. The thing about it is, you trying to hold on to this knight's not going to work because you're gonna see queen to e5 coming, and there's not really a way to protect this checkmate here. So you have to try to hold on and make sure you're defending against that as much as possible. So you have queen to d4, you have c5 trying to knock the queen away from that protection, and you definitely don't want to make something like queen a1. And so you have queen takes d6, queen takes d6, rook takes d6, and then now you have knight takes e4. So as you can see, white has an extra piece, but their pieces are very horribly coordinated, and they are down some pawns. So this is actually very, very winning for black. And so we see rook to d7, so knight g to f2, and so bishop comes to c4, just realizing that you can't protect that rook on h1. Also, because if you had knight to c3s, you'd have to move the king over, and then the rook would be able to, come and penetrate on e1. So we have knight takes h1, bishop takes f7, and so we have king down to h7, and so we have knight c to e2, knight h to g3. We have bishop to d6, and we have king to h8. And it is actually in this position that Jan Nepomniachtchi actually runs out of time. There was some type of like freeze delay situation I think that was going on, but even without the time situation, you have a very bad position for black. So just running through a few more moves, you would see, bishop takes e8, rook takes e8, and you would see king to c1, knight takes e2, knight takes e2, and you'd see knight to f6 attacking the rook and the knight at the same time. So rook to d2 would be the only way to defend. And then you see rook to e4. And as you can see, there's not really a way for you to protect this pawn on h4. And so you're just going to have two completely passed pawns on the king side, and you're not going to really have a way to defend against that. So that is the game, and it is from the 2020 St. Louis Blitz and Rapid, the 25th round. And so, like I said, for you diehard chess fans out here, I have the puzzle that I gave you guys before, and something that you should have noticed about it is the fact that queen to g2 is checkmate in 1. So it should have pretty much given you the answer that you have to place a check on the king. And so the only move that does that is rook takes e7 with check. And so after we have knight takes e7, we have a queen sacrifice on d7 with check. And so after the king takes, you have bishop to f5, and that's a double check, so the king has to move. And so you see king to e8, you see bishop to d7, king coming over to f8, and then bishop to e7 is checkmate. It's a live one. It's a real nice one because you have so many checkmates for white in this position here. So going to the new position, this is a discovered attack as well, and this one's I think it's actually pretty easy to see the initial move, but you definitely have the ability to go wrong in this one. The move that after 2 moves deep, the move that I came up with was actually wrong, so I was kind of disappointed. But anyway, that is those are the tactics for you. And like I said, it is a discovered attack. And so, you know, that will do that. Appreciate you guys stopping by, subscribe and like. Let me know if there's any other, you know, games you want me to cover. And I will see you guys next time. Appreciate it.